As you can see, we got our hammer handle done on all the aspects of this part all the way down to this part. Now it's time for us to work on the cap, okay? The cap is supposed to look like this when it's finished. It's a little smaller. We have to face off the end here and make it to the appropriate length from there to there. So we got to get rid of this and make it to the appropriate length, deburr and chamfer the top as well. This is one of our wooden block of shop aids that we have to help us with the project throughout its construction. We're going to go ahead and pull this part out here. This is to stamp the initials in the cap, and we're going to pull out one of these here. That's going to help us do the cap to the appropriate length. These here are sort of repair fixtures for when things go array on something, and these here are for the hammer head, Sharpies, and something to help with the folding on the aluminum job. Now we're going to go ahead, like we said, and make this cap to the appropriate length. We need to hold 620 from there to there, and we've already established this 188 on the thickness here. So what I went ahead and did was measured how thick this shop aid is. This shop aid measures right around 520 thousandths. Okay, so we wrote that down. 520 thousandths from 625 gives us 105 thousandths between the difference between the thickness of our shop aid and the length of this. Now I've went ahead and screwed our cap into our shop aid, and because we finished the last thread on this, we can screw this all the way home here, and you can see that there's no room between the bottom of this cap and the top of this part. Now the 105 thousandths that come in, that has to be what the difference is. So from this distance, the top of this to the end of this, when it measures 105 thousandths, our cap will be the right length and look like this cap here as far as that goes. Now, we went ahead and took and screwed that all the way home in there where it touches here, okay? We have this slit in here. That slit goes kind of through there where this can be clamped down and hold this in place while we do our work to it. So we're going to go ahead and load that in the machine in our chuck. We're going to put that slit between two jaws, okay? So that way it can close up properly and hold our parts securely. Now we're going to go ahead and loosen up our tool post holder and get the point of this headed a little further up than the rest of the tool itself. We're going to go ahead and turn on our machine, and we're going to put a little Sharpie on this here, so that way we know this is where we're going to finish at. The whole idea is we're going to cut this away and get it down to nothing. So we'll bring this on in like so. We'll come up here and touch, and we can see that we're just real good on center, okay? So that way we can clean up the entire amount. If we were a little bit above or a little bit below, it would be not a good thing. So what we're trying to do is just to get this faced off nice and clean across the surface. So we'll bring it up till we just scratch there, and we'll come on into the center like so. Then we'll feed very slowly and nicely on out, okay? We can see we're just kind of not got a 100% cleanup, so we're going to just take it in, a thousandth or two, just to take and give us a nice 100% cleanup across that face. There, that's good. I went ahead and unscrewed that a little bit out of this shop aid here to give us a little room to work. We're going to deburr both sides of the top of this cap. So we're going to give it a little chamfer on there, and we're going to go in here, and by us screwing that out, that gives us a little room to get our file in and put a little chamfer on that side. I've went ahead and screwed that all the way in back home against there. We're going to put this in here. Again, we're putting that slit between two of the chuck jaws and letting it stick out just a little bit here, okay? So we're going to pick up this surface. We're going to make this really pretty good and snug so this don't come unscrewed on us as we're working on our part. Okay, with this screwed in all the way home back here in this location, I'm going to take the tip of this tool and I'm going to touch it against the surface of there and let it sit. Since we want to move this pretty accurately from here to figure out how much we have to take off, we want this sticking out when it's all said and done 105 thousandths from this surface to the end of this. So we attached a magnet here just to give us something to go against with our indicator, and we zeroed out our 1-inch travel indicator on 0 right there with this touching up here. Now we're going to pull our tool away from our work, and we're going to watch this indicator. Now we're going to bring it all the way back up. That would be 100 thousandths, 105. That would be finish on cutting this off to the appropriate length. But we're going to move it back about 30 or so more on our dial, and we're going to come in here up top on our tooling and make a witness mark. Like I said, we're going to make our witness mark right here on the part. That gives us something to shoot for, is where we're going to actually, finish up to make this part the appropriate length. So we're coming in about there, and then I always put a little Sharpie in there. From here, from that Sharpie on out, is all got to be cut away. Now with our machine off, we're going to come back up and touch against that aluminum block or shop aid, and we're going to re-zero our indicator down here. Make sure our indicator is set on 0. Okay? Now, we're going to go ahead and move our indicator out 105 thousandths. So we're going to come around, that would be 105. Now that's where we're supposed to finish, right around 1.5. But we're going to come out a little further and make a pass across right about there to see how we're doing. Now that looks pretty good, but we're going to go ahead and now we're going to move up to our 105 finish on our dial indicator. Now, our part should be finished. I'm moving my indicator base out of the way so I don't bump it in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to come on out. I'm going to put a little chamfer on the end of that part because that's where the threads are to get the thread started. So I'll be very careful about it. But I'm putting a chamfer on there, shut it off, and that part's finished there. I just got done taking the part out of our shop aid now. We can go ahead and just check our dimension to see how we are. I've zeroed our digital calibers. I'm going to run them out, run them up, and see just how we're doing. Looks like we're right in the ballpark there on our dimension. Now for our final step before inspection, it says stamp initials right here in the end. So we got to put our initials in the end of the cap, but we got to figure out a way to hold that. The next shop aid that we have has 2 threaded areas in it, one for 2 different size screws. We're going to use the one that fits and screw this all the way down home against our block, and then we're going to stamp our initials in the top, just like that. This will hold it in place while we do our stamping process. Now, we're going to go ahead and stamp our initials on the top of the cap. I'll grab the R. We can practice if we want. Remember that the groove on there is for our thumb side, so we can sit there and I hold it all the way down and give it a stamp. So we can bring it up over here, set that on there, give it a stamp. That puts our R in. Then we'll go ahead and get our stamps. Again, the thumb goes on the side there. And what we can do is we can bring it down here, and I like to offset mine a little and put our S in. So now our R and S are stamped in there nicely. Here where you can see it. We're good to go. Now we're going to get started on our inspection of the hammer handle. Please put your appropriate last name where it goes on your inspection. Put down your first name. Okay. Put down the year, fall or spring. This is fall. Okay. The class number you are, the day you are, and the time slot you're in. Okay. As you can see, this has a variety of different dimensions that have to be filled out and answer questions that are answered. If we come over to our inspection sheets that are on the wall, well, this is what you'll see hanging up. Everything is color-coded. Like it says here on this cap, okay, 625, one place, it'll be in turquoise. If we come over here, the turquoise dimension is right here, and this is what they're expecting you to measure. Again, if we go over here, we can see that the 5/8 diameter knurl handle and cap is two places. That's in dark red. You can see that that's the 5/8 dimension for there. It also means you have to measure the cap as well, because occasionally a student will not make this correctly and have to remake this out of a separate piece than that. So that dimension can be, in some cases, different than this one on their final inspection process. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with our inspection sheet. So make sure you get it out so you can fill it out as we go. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and start out with this turquoise wines. The cap is 5/8 dimension, which is the dimension from there to there. We're going to swing around here and check that. We're going to check all of our dimensions with our dial calibers and not our digital. So we're going to go ahead, and the way we can check that is we can use from here to there to check that with. So we're going to bring that up to there, run this down, turn it over. Well, that's not correct. There we go. Turn it over. It looks like we're running that dimension right there. So go ahead and write that down on your sheet of paper, what that dimension is. Okay? The next thing we're going to check is we're going to come around here. We're going to check the 5/8 diameter knurl handle cap. Shows two places. As we look over here, that's for the knurl diameter here and also the knurl diameter on the cap, because sometimes the cap is made out of a separate piece if a student messes up when they're making the cap, and we have to make it over. So we'll spin around here and we'll go ahead and check the diameter of the cap and handle. Here's the cap. We're going to take our dial calibers, we're going to run it around, and that's what the cap checks in the diameter. Okay, write that down on your inspection report. We're going to go ahead and check the diameter of the handle itself. It's right there. Write that down on your report. Okay. The next dimension will be, we'll spin back around here, and our next dimension will be the 1/2 inch diameter, one place. Okay. On this particular one, our 1/2 inch diameter is right down here on this diameter right there. Okay, that's where it is, that 1/2 inch diameter. So we'll spin around here and we'll go to check that diameter to see if it's correct. I will take and go clamp down on that. Okay, where you can see it, write down what you see as far as that dimension goes. Okay, we got that one done. Going down the list here, we'll come back around. We got that done here. Now we're moving into the grooves. There's one groove that's supposed to be between 264 and 274, and the other one is 300. Well, let's go ahead and look over here. Let's do the 300 first. That would be the groove right there, 3-place dimension, decimal. We'll go ahead and spin around here, and we're going to check that groove out to see what it is. We'll go ahead and put our calibers on, and that's what that groove dimensions measures. Write that down on your sheet of paper for that dimension. Okay? We're going to go ahead and check the other groove. The other groove is on the cap itself. Okay? We're going to spin that around. Write down that particular dimension on your print, on your inspection report, I should say. Okay? That's for that. Okay, now we got those two down pat. Now let's move along on our inspection chart. The next thing there is to inspect is we're going to come down here, and we got that 4.5 inch, one place. It's a purple dimension. Let's see where that is. 4.5 inches in the purple is from where our knurl stops all the way to our end of our part. Okay, let's see what would be the best way to go ahead and check that. We'll spin around here. Okay. I want to say that I'm going to check it is I'm going to put the calibers there against there like so, and then I'm going to see how it measures out down at this end. This is going to probably be a little bit of an eyeball here on this, but let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, that looks good to me. So go ahead and see what you got. Write that dimension down. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next dimension. The next dimension on our inspection report sheet is, let's see, the 1 inch, 2 places. Okay, on that 1 inch, that is that's a gimme on that one. So we're going to skip over it. Okay, we're going to go on down to the 5/16 hole. Okay, 1 place. We come over here. That's this 5/16 hole right here, the diameter of this. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and check that diameter of the hole in the end of the hammer handle. That's the minor diameter for the thread, the drill size we use. So we're going to go ahead and throw our calipers in there, and we're going to check that diameter. And you're going to write down on your inspection report sheet what we get for that 5/8 diameter. Okay, we're going to move on from there. We're going to come back to our sheet. Next dimension on our sheet is this 0.188. That's purple. That's 2 places. We look over here on our 188. There's 1 place, which is the thickness of the cap. And we come down here on our 188, which is the thickness of our collar down here. So let's spin back around, and we're going to check that dimension with our dial calipers. We're going to go ahead and do our cap first. We're going to run our calipers together. That's what our dimension reads on our cap. Write that dimension down on your inspection report. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and come up to our collar on that's it. We're going to write that dimension down for the second 188 dimension, what we've got there. Okay, now that's done. Let's see what else we got. Okay, we're going to come across over here. It says that you've got 1 place for your initials. Okay, a Y or a yes, which if you look up here, it means yes or no. So we're going to put a Y or a S. Do we have our initials on the end of our cap? There's our end of our cap. You write yes or no if we got our initials on there. Okay, we spin back around here. Okay, the next thing we're going to check here, we're going to check our 3/8/16 outside OD is outside diameter threads on our cap, yes or no. We'll spin around here. And what we're going to check is we have a nut here that we can use with 3/8/16 threads in it, and we're going to see if that screws on. Looks like you tell me if it screws on or not. Appropriate Y or yes, yes or no. Okay, going to spin back around. We've already marked that one. Next one on our list of things to do is our 3/8/16 ID, yes or no. That would be on the whole handle, the hole in the handle. So we spin around here. We have a 3/8/16 bolt that we're going to screw and see if it screws in the end of our hammer, you know. And you tell me yes or no, does it screw in or not? Okay, we'll spin back around to our inspection report. Okay, we got that one. Now we're going to move down. Does the cap screw all the way down into the handle? Yes or no? So let's spin back around and double check to see if our cap screws all the way down in the handle. It will not screw in all the way down to the handle if we didn't reverse our button die and make sure that the thread is all the way cleaned up. Do we screw all the way down to our handle? You tell me. Yes or no? Unscrew that back out. Okay, we're moving on. Come back around here to our inspection report. Let's see what we've got next is the 3/8/24 thread. Does it check between 370 and 365 diameter? Okay, that would be the threads on the end of the hammer handle. So we'll spin it back around. They're talking about this here. So we're going to throw our calipers on them. Okay, that's the best way to check it, where you can see what's going on. You write down what dimension you get on there on your inspection report for the diameter. Okay, we're going to go back around here to our inspection report and see what's next on our list of to-dos. Okay, what we've got here is the 1 degree taper When you do the math on the 1 degree taper over here, it's 350 thousandths on this side. And when you do the trigonometry on it, it's 1/2 inch on this side, 350 on that side based on this dimension. So let's spin back around. Let's see how accurate our compound rest was when we set it. I'm going to throw the calipers on here. You tell me what you get at this end. Write that dimension down on your dimensions, and I'm going to run it down to the 350, where 350 is going to be. Okay, you tell me what you got on that end of it in reference to the diameter down there. Okay, that's got that. Now let's spin back around. Let's see what's next on our to-do list on our inspection report. Okay, on our inspection report it says up here, concentricity, yes or no? Well, that one's a little tricky. Okay, we'll spin this back around here. This is a judgment call. Okay, if some people get in a hurry and don't line everything up square when they go to put their threads on, this particular part of the hammer handle wobbles like this, wobbles like that when we roll it. So, okay, so you watch it. Does that wobble or does that roll pretty smooth? Okay, you tell me if that's wobbling like this as it's going around, or if it's rolling pretty smooth across that surface plate. Yes or no? Did we not take our time? Did we not do it correctly? Did we rush it? Got it on there crooked. Okay, next thing on our inspection report is the knurl appearance, 1 to 10. Let's take a look at that knurl we put on there, see how it looks. Let's buzz around, give it a good look-see. Let's spin it around and see if we make sure I put our aluminum shims in there and we didn't mar it or damage it or drop it on the floor or pack it in our bag to go home and wasn't careful about it. Does it look like a good knurl or not? Okay, same way with our cap. Okay, does our cap have any imperfections on it where it looks like we messed it up in some way? You know, marred it up or didn't do it right or scratched our file across it. How's that cap look to you? Does our knurl look okay or not? Okay, let's move on. 1 to 10 on the scoring on that. Okay, give your best judgment. It's a judgment call. Fit and finish. You know, how well do you think you did on the hammer handle, you know? You know, it's a judgment call on your part. You know how hard you worked on it, the attention to detail. You know, how does your hammer handle look on the overall appearance of it all, including your hammer, cap, and handle. You know, did it come out well? Are you happy with the finished product? Did you give attention to detail? Okay, 1 to 10 on that. As we come back around here, safety and manufacturing. Did you use any of my good Band-Aids out of the Band-Aid cabinet? You know, did you get yourself hurt without being careful? You know, did you not follow the safety procedures that are assigned to the shop? If not, you know, give yourself a lesser than 10 on that. You know what you did wrong. You know if you got hurt. Okay, inspection on class instructor, modified the center drill with the hammer handle and head. Okay. When you bring me your inspection report, all filled out, and your hammer handle to me, what I'll do is I'll look over the hammer handle. I'll do a visual inspection of your inspection report sheet to see how you've done. Then I will go ahead and modify your hammer handle. I will put your hammer handle in here like so, turn on the machine, and what we're going to do is, this is a fixture. This is not a shop aid. A fixture is something where tooling goes through and does a particular job over and over on a production part. Okay? This has got a hole in it which guides me to the exact center of this particular component, and that way I can put a identification mark right in there. So I will turn this on, bring this down till I line it up with the hole. I will come down, I will put my appropriate spot in there. When I'm done with this little center drill here, with that little center drill here, it'll leave this little mark just like that in the part itself. Okay, and that'll identify that this part has been inspected and went through. Okay, and when that's all done and you screw your hammer head on, you'll see that that little mark is hidden by the hammer head itself, and nobody even knows it's there.